Hello students, welcome to class 12 physics class. Today we discuss another one topic from semiconductor device, that is PN junction. So in previous video we discussed the two types of semiconductor. One is a extrinsic semiconductor, another one is a intrinsic semiconductor or pure semiconductor. And impure semiconductor or extrinsic semiconductor are two types. When we dropped pentavalent atom at a small part of a intrinsic semiconductor, then it will have extra free electrons inside the lattice. That type of semiconductor are called n-type semiconductor. But if we doped with a trivalent atom in a small part of a intrinsic semiconductor, then we get one crisis of electron, that means one hole is created inside the lattice. That type of semiconductor are called p-type semiconductor. P means positive because holes are more than the electron, and N means negative, electrons are more than the hole. So in case of a n-type semiconductor, it is also called donor semiconductor because it has a free electron inside the lattice. So when it come to contact with a p-type semiconductor, it easily donate the electron from the lattice to the p-type semiconductor. That's why this is called donor semiconductor, donor n-type semiconductor. So if we draw a energy band diagram for n-type semiconductor, so from where the semiconductor donate the electrons? From the conduction band. So the donor level where the free electrons are exist, that is also lie very near to the conduction band. In this figure you see that the conduction band, we already discussed that conduction band placed above the valence band. So and near the valence band, one dotted line over there, that is a donor level where that free electrons inside the lattice are exist. So and this gap, this donor level and the conduction band, this gap is very less, that is 0.05 or 0.045. You can write 0.05 eV, electron volt. Okay, so this is a energy band diagram for n-type semiconductor or n-type extrinsic semiconductor with the donor level. Here that things are donor type semiconductor, impurity atom is called donor, the energy level is called donor level, everything is written over there. Okay, next is p-type semiconductor. So p-type semiconductor, in this figure we choose a germanium semiconductor. In one part of a germanium we doped indium, which is a trivalent atom. So when we induced a indium in place of a germanium, so indium has last 3 orbit, it has 3 electrons, so 3 electrons are combined with the neighboring germanium electrons, but the one side, that left side, one is vacant place is there, crisis of electron is there, that means this is a hole, this is a positive charge. So in each phase one this type of hole are present in the lattice. So this type of semiconductor are called p-type semiconductor. So when the p-type semiconductor come to contact in n-type semiconductor, so it easily accept the electron from n-type semiconductor. That's why this is called acceptor semiconductor, acceptor type semiconductor, because holes is already present over there. So it wants a electron to complete its octet rule. So it is very much it is very quickly accept the electron from the n-type semiconductor. That's why the p-type semiconductor are called acceptor semiconductor. And where it accept this electron, at near the valence band, because we know that in a valence band is a fully filled up with the electrons. So if when it accepts this electron, that means its octet rule will follow. That means the left hand side where the vacant place is there, so this place it's fully with a electron, and then the covalent bond also, that means the indium and the gallium, the neighboring gallium at germanium atom also fulfill their octet rule and they will be stable. So after that, the under the effect of the temperature, these electrons gain energy and jump from the valence band to conduction band. So the accepted level lies very near to the valence band, just opposite to the n-type semiconductor. Okay, so here in this is the energy band diagram for the p-type semiconductor. The accepted level is lies in very near to the valence band, and the gap between valence band and the accepted level is 0.05 eV. 0.05 eV, and EG represent the energy band gap. Energy band gap for p-type semiconductor. I hope it is clear and everything is written over there. Okay, so p-type semiconductor is called acceptor type semiconductor. In a p-type semiconductor, holes are the majority carriers and the electrons are the minority carriers. It can be shown that Np equals to Ni(pi), that is equals to Ni square, the concentration of holes. So in case of a n-type semiconductor, majority carriers are electron, minority carriers are holes, and p-type just opposite, holes are the majority carriers and electrons are the minority charge carriers. Okay, so let's start with today's topic, p-n junction diode. When p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor are joined together, that crystal structure of p-type and n-type semiconductor are diffused together, one junction is formed in between p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor. That arrangement is called p-n junction diode, as shown in the figure. Left hand side is a p-type and right hand side is the n-side, and here red color dotted line. One junction is formed in between p and n. That's why this is called p-n junction diode. So it has only two terminals. One is a p side, another we can connect the wire across the p side only, and another one is across the n side only. So it has only two terminals or two electrodes. One is a positive, another one is a negative, because p side is positive, majority carriers are holes, and inside is negative. So that terminal will be negative. So that's why this is called diode. Di means two, ode means electrode. So p-n junction diode. I hope it is clear. P-n, p-type and n-type semiconductor are present. Junction, the junction is formed in between them, and diode, two electrodes are there. That's why this is called diode. So this is this arrangement. When a p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor are joined together, a boundary is formed in between them. This arrangement is called p-n junction diode, or it is called, sometimes it is called semiconductor diode. In this figure you see that in p-type semiconductor, that purple color negative, that one is the immobile negative impurity atom, and the black dot, that is a mobile hole. Mobile means they will move, p to n, n to p. That's why mobile charges means those are can move from one place to another place. Immobile means this ions cannot move from one place to another place. And inside that green one is a immobile positive impurity atom, and the pink color is a mobile electron majority carriers. So beside the black dot over there, that is a holes, and inside the pink color, that is a electrons majority carriers. I hope it is clear. Okay, so when a p-n junction is formed, a p region has mobile holes and the immobile negative charge ion, and the n regions has mobile electrons and immobile positive charge ions. This whole arrangement is electrically neutral, that means no electric field, external electric field is applied in this condition. So whenever we did not apply any external electric field, that is called unbiased condition. That is called unbiased condition. Unbiased means no external electric field is provided. So here for this diagram we did not draw the minority carriers, otherwise it is very difficult for understanding for us. Okay, so what happened when the p-n junction diode is formed? So when p and n junction is formed, that means the junction after the formation of junction, that red dotted color, that the majority carriers in the p side and the minority carriers in the n side are attract each other because both are the opposite charges. So the p side holes are diffused from p side to n side, and n side similarly we can say that from n side the electrons are diffused to p side. So the holes, majority carriers, those are the majority carriers present in the both side. So holes from p side to n side and electrons from n side to p side, they are diffused. This process is called diffusion process. Whenever the p-n junction diode is formed, two processes are there. One is a diffusion process and the one is a drift process. Diffusion process always for a majority carriers, but the drift process for the minority carriers. So whenever these two are in contact, joined together, junction is formed, then the diffusion processes takes place as well as the drift also takes place, because the p side minority carrier is negative and n side minority carriers are holes. So the negative minority carriers from p side are drifted from p to n side, and n side minority carriers holes are drifted from n to p side. So that is the drift process. Drift process we get only for the minority carriers, and diffusion process we get due to the majority carriers. Majority holes from p to n side they will diffuse, and the majority electrons they will diffuse into p side. Okay, then what happened? In this figure you see that whenever they will diffuse, the holes diffused from p to n side, then near the junction, that if we consider the first row, near the junction, the first row in the p side, the three black dots over there, that means three holes are diffused and recombined with the electron in the n side. So which charges are left? That immobile negative impurity ions are left near the junction, that purple color. Similarly, the n side electrons are diffused, that pink dot, the first of three pink dot are diffused n to p side. So which charges are left near the junction? The positive charges, positive immobile charges are left inside the near the junction. So like this way, next row, next three electrons are recombined with the electron p to n side, n to p side. So again the immobile negative charges are accumulated near the junction, and immobile positive charges are accumulated near the junction in n side. So n side means negative, but after the diffusion process near the junction the positive immobile charges are accumulated, and p side means positive. After the diffusion of holes near the junction, negative immobile charges are accumulated. These charges are not moved from one place to another place, and this will resist to diffuse the further holes from p to n and n to p. That means if we consider the third one, they will create this immobile charges create one layer, because the near the p junction in the p side negative immobile charges are depleted, and near the junction in the n side positive immobile charges are depleted. So this immobile charges creates one layer that is called depletion layer, and this depletion layer is due to the immobile charges. These charges are not moved from one side to another side, and this will also resist the further diffusion of holes from p to n and the diffusion of electrons from n to p. Whenever the depletion layer is formed, this diffusion processes stop. But drift process, because the magnetic carriers are small in size, so they will easily drift or sweat out this depletion region and move P to N side. Okay, so due to the diffusion process, we get the diffusion current, and the sorry, not current. Due to the diffusion process, we get the depletion layer, and when this diffusion and drift, this process will equal to each other, then no majority carriers and the minority carriers are further moved from P to N side or N to P side. Whenever once the depletion layer is formed, after few times the diffusion process is stopped, after few seconds the drift process also stop, because both processes are equal to each other. So this immobile charges are called, this region near the junction where the immobile charges are accumulated, this is called space charge region. This is called space charge region, and this region is called depletion region or depletion layer. These things is happen here. Depletion layer, this you see that it is written over there. Holes from P region diffused into N region due to the difference in concentration. Free electrons from N region diffused into P region due to same reason. Holes and free electrons combine near the junction. Each recombination eliminates an electron and a hole. That means if three holes are diffused from P to N side, and from 3 electrons are diffused from N to P side, these are eliminated. So only the immobile charges are left. The uncompensated negative immobile ions in the P region do not allow any more free electrons to diffuse from N region, and same for the P region also. The positive donor ions in the N region and the negative acceptor ion in the P region are left uncompensated. That is the immobile charges. The region containing the uncompensated acceptor or donor ions is called depletion region, or you can say that due to this immobile charges, a region is formed near the junction. This is called depletion region, because this region is devoid of mobile charges. No mobile charges are there. These are called immobile charges. And since this region have only the immobile charges, that's why this is also called space charge region. Already we discussed. The N region is having higher potential than the P region. So an electric field is set up as shown in this figure. So because the immobile charges are present, they are not moved inside the from one side to another side. So when one side is negative, one side is the positive. That means it also acts as a self battery. That's why we written over there V. A potential difference will also create in near the junction in a both side P and N. This potential, due to the depletion region, it will form. This is called potential barrier. This is called potential barrier. After the depletion region, we get the potential barrier. So the difference in potential between P and N region across the junction make it difficult for the holes and electrons to move across the junction. This acts as a barrier, and hence it is called potential barrier or height of the barrier. Okay, because of this potential difference and due to that layer of depletion layer, the majority carriers of holes from P side to N side and electrons from N side to P side are not diffused, are not moved. It will resist. This potential difference resists the flow of that majority carriers. That's why this is called potential barrier. And the potential barrier for silicon atom, it is nearly 0.7 volt, and for germanium it is 0.3 volt. That's why normally maximum time we use the germanium. It is very small value. If we apply more than 0.3 volt, so it can be overcome this potential barrier, and the depletion layer also be overcome. That diffusion process again it will start. The potential barrier opposes the motion of the majority carriers. However, a few majority carriers with high kinetic energy manage to overcome the barrier and cross the junction. Potential barrier helps the movement of minority carriers. It will help to movement of the minority carriers, because the P side negative is formed and the N side positive is formed. So it will, and the minority carriers also be positive are present inside the N region, and minority carriers negative are present inside the P region. So this minority carriers are easily split out this depletion region, and they will easily move through this junction. Okay, here I will written this in a very small, simple language. Anything you can write, depletion layer, barrier potential, anything you can write. Next, so this depletion layer also formed, this potential barrier also be formed, and diffusion and drift process will stop. Then how we can get the current? If the process there is no movement of electric charges, then how can we get the electric current? Then we apply a external electric field. That means we connect external battery across the two terminals of a p-n junction diode. This is called biased condition. When we apply the external electric field across the two ends of a p-n junction diode, then this condition of p-n junction diode is called bias condition. And here the bias for p-n junction diode, there's a two biased conditions are there. One is a forward bias, another one is a reverse bias. Forward bias means battery positive is connected to the P side, that means P terminal of the PN junction, and the negative side is connected to the negative side terminal of the PN junction. That means positive is connected to the positive, negative is connected to the negative. Then what happened? So during this, whenever the positive terminal of the battery is connected to the P region and the negative terminal of the battery is connected to the N region, then we can say that the PN junction diode is in forward bias. Then holes in a P regions are repelled by the positive terminal of the battery. Positive means holes, and already the holes majority carriers are present inside the P side. So the battery positive and the holes present inside the P side, they are repelled each other. So during that repulsion force, the majority carriers inside the P, they will move towards the junction. And same thing is happen inside the N. The negative charges, that means electrons, and the majority carriers of electrons inside the N side are repel each other. Due to that repulsion force, some electrons are moved towards the junction. That means we can say that the width of the depletion layer will decrease. The potential barrier and the width of the depletion layer or depletion region decreases. So as the depletion layer is decreases, at first with the dotted line, that's two immobile charges. For example purpose, the first dotted line included the two immobile charges in the P side and the two immobile charges inside in the N side. After this repulsion, you see that another one dotted line over there, that means depletion layer is decreased. So this due to that repulsion force. And so the if width of the depletion layer decreases, then potential barrier also decreases. So a large amount of majority carriers now diffused across the junction P to N side and N to P side. And again this repulsion process is continuous. Okay, due to this repulsion force, the width of the depletion layer is decreases time to time. Okay, so as for first little bit amount of decrease, so we get little bit amount of current, then again it will decrease, depletion layer increase, so the flow of or diffusion process is increased, then we get the diffusion current, more diffusion current. At a certain time the depletion layer is very negligible, so the more amount of majority carriers from P to N side and N to P side are diffused, and we get a huge amount of diffusion current. A huge amount of diffusion current, or we can say that in this case the after certain time or after certain potential, we apply the potential to that means we operate over there with a knob is there inside. When you do the practical, one knob is there. Externally we apply the potential. For silicon it will be 0.7. So 0.7, if it overcome it's more than 0.7, then depletion layer will very decrease. That means very negligible. So the current is gradually increases. First we get little bit amount of current, but after certain time we see that the voltage, the potential is, if we increase the potential, is very less, but with that potential the current increases gradually. That's why this is not follow the Ohm's law. In Ohm's law, whatever the potential we apply, the same amount of current will passes through the conductor. But here, first whenever we apply a little bit amount of potential, suppose in case of a germanium, that is 0.2 volt, we get zero current. 0.3 we get little bit amount of current. 0.4 volt potential externally we apply, we get another, the amount of diffusion current is increases. But as we increase the potential, then the current will gradually increase, not linearly increase. It's gradually or exponentially it will be increased. That's why the PN junction diode is called non-ohmic conductor. I hope it is clear. So these things are written over there. Just once you read it over there, and if possible, then you also write in a copy. Okay. So we can say that in a semiconductor we get the current due to the hole and electron also. So our total amount of I, that is equals to IE plus IH, electron current and the hole current. Okay. Reverse bias. Reverse bias means just opposite to the first one. In reverse bias, the P side is connected negative terminal of the battery and inside is connected positive terminal of the battery. This arrangement is called reverse bias arrangement, or we can say that PN junction is in reverse bias condition. This is just opposite to the forward bias. What happened? Because the P side, the majority carriers are holes, it is connected across the negative terminal, so it will attracted by the in a negative terminal. Same thing is happening inside also. So due to this attraction, the depletion layer or depletion region, width of the depletion region is increases. Potential barrier also increases and the width of the depletion layer also increases. So therefore it is very difficult for the majority carriers to diffuse across the junction, to move from P to N side or diffuse from P to N side or into P side is very difficult, because it is attracted by opposite direction. That means it's far away from the junction. Here you see that the IH, the whole current is towards the positive, because the positive to negative current will flow, we see know that. So the IH current is this side, but the IE current is towards the junction, because N region is connected to the battery positive, and always we give the direction sign positive to negative. That's why IE current is towards the negative. And the forward bias also, we see that the both current are in the same direction. That's why they will added together. Okay, the whole current and the electron current are added together, because if they are in opposite current, they will cancel each other. Then how we can get the current? Okay, so in forward bias also you see that the IH and IE are in the same direction. IH towards the junction because positive to negative. Okay, and here the IE is also positive to negative, because the electrons flows inside the inside, and we know that the opposite to the electric current direction is opposite to the electrons direction. Okay, so these are the added together and we get the total current. In this case also same, just opposite to the forward bias. So in this case the width of the depletion layer will increases, so it is very difficult for the majority carriers diffuse across the junction. But the minority carriers are easily, because the minority carriers means negative is present inside the P and the positive also present inside the N, so they will repel each other and they will shift out through this depletion region. So we can say that in a forward bias, the current will get due to the majority carriers, but in a reverse bias, the current will, whatever the current will get in a reverse bias condition, that will be for the minority carriers. So minority carriers is a very small amount of present inside both side. That's why the amount of current we get in a reverse bias condition, that is very small compared to the forward bias also. In forward bias, the majority carriers are more, so majority carriers, so the current amount is more compared to the reverse bias. That's why we measure the current in a forward bias using milliammeter, and reverse bias microammeter. Very less amount of current we get, that's why in reverse bias we use a microammeter to measure the current due to the minority carriers. So, and this in reverse bias condition, whatever the current we get due to the minority carriers, this is called reverse saturation current. This is called reverse saturation current. Okay, so everything is written over there. Just once you go through these points and write in your copy. And this is a circuit diagram for forward bias and the reverse bias. Here you see that milliampere and microampere be written over there. Okay, so and this is the characteristics curve. Sometimes in 2 marks questions it will come, draw the 2 marks, not 2 marks, 3 marks questions is there. Draw the circuit diagram of a PN junction diode in case of a forward bias as well as for the reverse bias, and also draw its IV characteristics curve. So first of all you draw this circuit diagram, and here few things are not mentioned, that that this is a resistance, this is a battery, you also mention over there, and this is a IV characteristics curve. The left hand side, the linear region where it will be written, you see that the current will gradually increases. So after certain voltage, that Vk is written over there, after overcome this voltage, that means in case of a silicon that is 0.7 volt, in case of a germanium it will be 0.3 volt. After that voltage the current will gradually increases. So that Vk, this is called knee voltage. This side is a forward bias, and left side negative region we get almost zero current. You see that it's almost zero. After certain voltage we get a, that means after certain voltage, because the magnetic carriers are flows to from one side to another side, so at a fixed voltage the current will, but the current voltage will not change. Okay, this is called breakdown voltage. At that certain voltage the potential is not changed, but the current will get due to the minority carriers, due to the minority carriers. So at a certain voltage we get the current, or the current will increases. That's why this voltage is called breakdown voltage. This is called breakdown voltage. And the resistance of a diode, the diode also has a resistance. The static or DC resistance is V by I, and AC resistance del V by del I. Del means change rate, change, because AC means alternating current. It after some interval of time it will change, that's why delta sign is used. But for DC current, direct current, so we use only V and I. Okay, this is a symbol of PN junction diode. The triangle one is represent P, and the perpendicular black color line, that is a N. PN junction. 2 electrodes are there. One is connected across a P, another one is connected across a N. So that's why 2 electrodes are there. That's why diode, and this is a symbol for PN junction. I hope it is clear. Next, the application of PN junction diode. The most application PN junction diode is as a rectifier. Rectifier means, rectifier is a device which converted AC to DC, alternating current to direct current. Alternating current means the sinusoidal wave. The very good example is a sinusoidal wave. It has a positive half as well as a negative half. But the diode, the PN junction diode, is used as a rectifier. That means at output, as input we connect with the AC or the fluctuating voltage supplier, but at output we get direct current, that means unidirectional current. So this rectifier is a device which converted AC to DC. Now this rectifier are two types: half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier. Half, from this name we can get half wave, that means we get the at output we get half of the input. So how we can see that? This one, you see that this is a circuit, then diagrams and for the half wave rectifier. The process of converting alternating current into direct current is called the rectification or the rectifier, and device is called rectifier, process is called rectification. The PN junction diode, here you see that this is a transformer, in middle the black color parallel two plates are there. So transformer, across the transformer, if AC is connected, that means here plus and minus is denoted over there, and one diode is connected, another one RL is a load resistance. In this case, whenever we in circuit, whatever the circuit we use, whenever we measure the output current or output any output result across the, we measure across the load resistance. That's why the RL is written over there. Okay, and the diode has one specification. If positive current is there, only then the diode allow the current passes through it. If negative current is there, then it will not allow to passes through it. Okay, so in first figure you see that the upper half will be positive and lower half will be negative. So the current will flow from positive to negative direction. That means in a sinusoidal wave, you see that the orange color half, this is a positive half of a sinusoidal wave or the AC for AC. So for the positive half, this upper half will be the positive and the negative lower half will be the negative. So at output we get the unidirectional current, that is positive and positive. But for the lower half, the negative half, that means the upper side will be negative, lower side will be negative, then the diode does not allow any current flows through the diode. So at output, at across the RL we get no output. And last figure is a combined effect of first two. So the upper half, lower half, green color is a lower half, that means negative, then again positive, then again negative, that's why this is called AC. Okay, so when the orange color is there, then the upper half will be positive, then only the diode allow the current passes through it. So at output we also get the positive half. For the negative half we did not get, that's why one blank space is there. Then again the positive half, then again we get the current at the outputs, then again the orange half is there, then again the negative half, so no current, no output across the RL. So we get the half of the input at output, that's why this is called half wave rectifier. That's why this is called half wave rectifier. At output we get half of the input. Okay, but it is not good for us. At half, whatever the input we given, we get half of it as a output, but it is not suitable for us. To overcome this one, that's why we introduce full wave rectifier. I hope it is clear. Full half wave rectifier, for negative half the diode will not allow the current passes through it. So at output we did not get the current, that's why one gap also be there, the gap represent the negative half. So whenever you draw this output graph, so also you use that gap. Okay, in negative half, for full wave rectifier, here we use two diodes, and at a middle you see that AB, the RL is there. Across RL we also calculate the output, and one directional sign over there, that is also touches with a transformer. This is called center tap transformer. Center tap transformer means when the upper half is positive, lower half is negative, then D1 allows the current flows through it, but D2 does not allow. So the this center tap, that means A point, that direction sign, it's it acts as a low potential, and we know that the current will flow from high to low potential. That's why the current will flow through the D1 to B to A, like this way, the upper half only. Okay, for the positive half of the input. When the upper half will be positive, then we get the current only, the direction also be there. You see that the D1 does not allow. Now the for negative half. For negative half means upper one is a negative and lower one is a positive. Okay. So now D1 is that does not allow the current passing through it. So but D2 is allowed because D2 side is positive. So the current direction also change towards the again towards the B to A. So towards A, this is called center tap transformer, because the center tap transformer, this point is the center tap point is acts as a lower potential. That's why the current flowing through like this way. So if we combine these two upper two diagram, we get the third one diagram. You see that for upper half for D1, then for green one we get for D2, but in a unidirection. That's why all are in a same direction. In input is a AC, output is a DC. This is a two directional, this is a unidirectional. Okay, I hope it is clear now. This is a waveform of input waveform, output waveform for half wave rectifier, and this is a input waveform and output waveform for half wave rectifier. For this is full wave and this is for half wave. I hope it is clear now. This is a difference between extrinsic and intrinsic semiconductor. Already you understand what you write. I hope it is clear, half wave and full wave. Still, if you have any problem, then you just write in a comment box, so I try to solve your doubts. Okay, so have a nice day. This is very interesting chapter, so tata, bye bye, have a nice day.